Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we talk about how well bourbon did in 2022 and if that trend will continue. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Tim Swyatt, Ryan Thompson, and Lenny Eckstein.
Hey, gang, what's up?
What's up, guys?
Oh, so yeah, we're going to be talking about the rebound in Kentucky because that's a place where they keep track of visitors to distilleries and all that kind of stuff, and how that in 2021 things started going the right direction. They weren't quite back up to where they were in 2019 before the pandemic, and then in 2022 we are way past where we were at in 2019. So things are above and beyond where we were. So bourbon is definitely on that upward trajectory again. And is that going to continue or not? We'll get to that after the break. For right now, Lenny said there's something he wanted to talk about. What is that, Lenny?
Yeah, so recently, I don't know if you guys had seen this on the social media. I posted a little bit about an experiment I did a while back at Deer Hammer, and that was a production batch of bourbon, so one full barrel, but in the sour mash process, rather than using bourbon back set, because we had previously made brandy leading up to this batch, we used the back set from a brandy to sour mash a bourbon, which I questioned, does that disqualify it as a bourbon? And I was surprised at the mix of answers, but I want to run it by you guys. I have my own opinions, but want to see what you think about that.
Okay. What type of brandy?
Oh, and I love the experiment. I can't wait to
the experiment's fun.
Yeah, the fuckery is awesome.
I think it's not bourbon because bourbon has to have all grains, and I assume your brandy is not made with grains. It's made with some sort of fruit or something.
Yes. And Steve, to your point and question, just to further qualify, so brandy, obviously, it's distillate, or maybe not obviously, but it's distillate that starts out as a fruit. So that's the sugar source that's then fermented and distilled. Traditional brandy, which is the case of what we did in this particular experiment, starts out as a grape. It's fermented into wine, and that wine is distilled into brandy. And the back set is essentially wine that's had the vast majority of the alcohol distilled out. So you're basically concentrating wine and removing the ethanol. And then that gets dosed into the bourbon mash.
Right.
So, yeah, it's kind of, and in this case,
great. And the way the TTB is, I'm sure it would fly. Just call it whatever you want. I mean, they got agave bourbon out there now. Why the fuck not have brandy bourbon? Yeah, I mean, but in reality, there's a lot of things I disagree with how they're labeled. And I think if you were following the letter of the law, that should not be able to be called bourbon based on that. But all bets are off. I don't know. You can put it through however you want, probably.
It could very well could be a fantastic whiskey.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It sounds interesting.
And get this. So here's something I've learned over the years in, trying to not necessarily mess with the TTB intentionally, but doing so with all these off-the-wall experiments. So here's the thing. I don't have the stomach to call it bourbon for a couple reasons. One, I don't truly believe that it is because we put that, wine concentrate minus the alcohol into it. But furthermore, here's the TTB stance, and I think a lot of people have a different interpretation than I do. They don't check up on distilleries very often.
Right.
They put the onus on us to follow the law.
Right.
And I did create a label that was not in compliance once by mistake. And when I asked them, well, it's on the shelf. What do you want me to do about it? And they're like, well, you have an illegal product on the shelf. So that in terms of their take on this, if you do something that flies in the face of the law or what their ruling would be, they're not going to check the product itself, but that product is then not legal. It's not a whatever you call it. So found that kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. I mean, so they're not going to check everything, but you're responsible for adhering to the rules and the guidelines. And ultimately, when you run afoul of that, it's on to you, and then they can decide what they do. Now, in some cases, like you said, I don't know what they ultimately told you. They probably said just let it sell out, I would guess. But they can also say pull it. I mean, they could say pull it immediately, and you just have to destroy whatever you're. Or they can just say, hey, don't do it again. Let it run its course, and we'll go from there. So
yeah, they actually make you fill out an application for a request for use up. So super boring stuff for all those listeners listening right now. But yeah,
I think our audience actually wants to hear this
recall
kind of stuff. Yeah,
I'd rather see that than have the distiller go through an expense of trying to recall and track all the stuff down. And
here's where it gets even weirder, Jim. In most states, and Colorado being one that is common, like most. Once it gets to the liquor store, it wasn't our product anymore anyway. It was sold to a distributor, and now it's their responsibility. So quite the way to sour relations with the distributor if you've sold them an illegal product that then has to be recalled.
Yeah.
So pretty interesting can of worms that you can go down. I don't expect that would happen with this single barrel of brandy, sour mash, whatever. Steve, you're welcome to buy it. I'll even call it bourbon for the ABV Barrel Shop if you want.
What barrel are you aging it in, Lenny?
Oh, it's a heavy toast number 2 char.
Yeah, new?
Yep. And it's been in there for 3.5 years so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you doing on like Monday, Tuesday? Can I come down and taste this thing?
I will be here.
I might have to, buddy.
That's a yes. Yeah. That's a yes. Okay.
Lenny, when I saw you post that out there, it was amazing to see how people say, yeah, there's nothing in the rules saying about backset or sour mash, this, that, or the other. But Steve, you hit it on go back to square one. It has to be 100% grain, 51% corn, ... That addition is not grain. So that's where I kind of led. And I figured you'd bring this up since we were going to be, podcasting together on Friday. So I didn't say anything on it. I think that's there. But what I really triggered my head on this one is the marketing on a label that could be there that you may have just scratched a new surface on, folks creating new interesting whiskeys. And, everybody says sour mash. You got a lot of our friends that say sweet mash too as well on the label. But that could be a real interesting marketing twist for a whole new category of niche drinking of certain specific products. But I wonder if on the cocktail scene what that would go with.
Yeah, just call it brandy backset bourbon. What is that? I want to try it.
Exactly. The marketing on this one could be huge, or just the category itself or the craft that you're doing is really what it is. Not a marketing gimmick. It's more of a real set, unique way of doing things that
I want to taste it to see how much impact it has, if any. Maybe you get in there and it's like, well, I can't tell the difference between that.
Angry, I'll let you know, bud.
Okay.
What's interesting that I found, because I have the same questions. I mean, that's the most, I guess it's, one of the most fun parts of owning distilleries. Any question we have, we get to run those experiments. And the only way I found it very noticeable, not on the first sip, but when I did a side-by-side to a barrel that was produced, within days of that one with a more traditional backset versus the brandy backset. Pretty significant difference.
Yeah.
So a whole new category. Instead of finished products, they're
starting
prepared products or something like that. There's something there that's an interesting track that you're going down.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun, and since we're small, we don't have to convince the whole world that it's the next product they have to buy, but it sure is fun to have a barrel of something here and there.
Yeah, that is fun.
Call it bourbon until Steve's point, which makes a lot of sense. But I also like controversy, so I feel like you call it bourbon just to piss some people off because the purists have opinions. I
act
love
like the world is ending.
No,
Yeah,
I'm team no press is bad press, or so I think you just call it a bourbon and see what happens.
Ballsy, McNew, ballsy. I like it.
Throw it out there.
That's awesome.
yeah.
All right.
Well, all right. Well, guess what, gang? It is time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with McNew this time. McNew, what do you got?
So I found this one today. I've never seen it before, but it had a fun label. It's called Graystown, and it's out of California, and it was finished in port wine barrels. So.
Okay, that one just looked like it was going to have a good cork pop, and it does. So, yeah. All right, that's our lead. Tim, what do you got?
So I'm going to, Lenny, you kick me off here. I'm going to go with Deer Hammer, single malt whiskey, and the port cask finish.
Okay. No, not enough. I'll go next. I've got Henry McKenna, 10-year-old, bottled in bond. Not enough. Squeak, just all squeak, really. All right, McNew has the lead. Ryan, what do you got?
Well, Tim, I mean, if you're going to butter up Lenny over there, shouldn't you wait till he comes back to actually, so you show him what you're drinking? Come on.
It's true. It's true.
It's recorded. You can listen to it later.
It's
He exited stage left. There he is.
I don't know where he's
Lenny,
at.
for the record,
Right.
Tim is drinking some Deer Hammer right now. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
No.
There you go.
All right. Ryan, Ryan, it was your turn, though. What do you got?
I'm going to give a shout out not only to one of my favorite bands ever that I've enjoyed since I was a youngin'.
New Kids on the Block?
Also, Dave Pickerel is on it from, Rest in Peace. And I had a couple good conversations with Dave years ago, and they were always pleasant. He's got always left a great reputation on the industry. And then who took his place is Rob Dietrich, and Rob is not only a 10th Mountain vet, but one of my mentors and one of a good friend. And he stopped at the distillery the other day, so I'm gonna open up a bottle of Blackened in their honor. So let's see what we've got here. Ooh.
Nothing. Sound like you hit a table. You knocked on the table. That's it. No cork pop, table knock.
Well, I was gonna enjoy the whiskey nonetheless.
All right, Lenny, you're last but not least, since you were wandering around during this.
Yeah, I was wondering. I'm
go
gonna
take a leak. Yeah, go take a leak.
I'm going to forfeit this one. I ran down to, about 8 rows down and grabbed a pour of the brandy backset, not bourbon.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's hear what we got here. Go before we'll cheers in a second. Let's hear Lenny's review here.
Oh, all right. Nose is like a I don't know, what would you call it? Like a burgundy.
Okay.
I don't fucking know, Steve.
More of a Bordeaux. What?
No, it smells candy corn. No, fucking no. It smells delicious.
Okay. All right.
Where's Arlo? We need Arlo.
Are you getting any brandy notes?
Yeah. Well, again, like there's so many aromas in, as you know, like you go into the rack house and it smells like amalgamation of all this whiskey. So it does have more of a caramel heavy note than most of our bourbons. This one does have a little bit more fruit. It's not like smacking the head with brandy, but again, when you compare it to our other batches, it kind of punches up a bit from there. So it's a neat.
Okay.
Very cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gonna taste it?
Yeah, I'm sniffing.
We're waiting. Okay. We're waiting. I mean, this is expensive airtime.
Yeah.
Watching him work here, Steve.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, you guys just chewing up airtime, just like.
Yeah, quite nice.
Okay.
And well.
Yeah. How does it feel close to being ready, or more time in the barrel?
I'm gonna say like another year.
Okay.
I think it's 3.5 now. I'll see where it's at in 4.5.
Okay.
But anything's for sale for the right price.
All right. Yeah. Well, there you go.
That owns a liquor store.
Yeah. So, perfect. We'll buy that. All right. Cheers, gang.
Cheers,
guys.
McNew's left now. What is happening here?
My cat was scratching on the door. Did you not hear her?
No, of course not.
She
No.
won't stop, so I had to let her in.
All right. Well, we'll take a quick break. That would be a good time to address something like that. When we get back, we're going to be talking about Kentucky bouncing all the way back in 2022. What do we expect is going to happen? Where do we go from here? More people? Less people? What do we think? We'll do that in just a few. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We will also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
Hello, this is Jeff from Iowa, and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. We're talking about the bourbon bounce back in Kentucky in 2022, and will it continue?
Yes, we are. So what do we think? Is this was exciting to think that, because we want this whole pandemic crap to be behind us. And this is fun that we're past the numbers that were pre-pandemic, which is cool. Is bourbon going to continue this upward trajectory? Like in 2023, do we expect there'll be more visitors to the Bourbon Trail than there were in 2022, setting yet a new record?
I absolutely think so. I don't think people are ready to go out again. They have been, and I think businesses are ready for them in the right way again. So things had been shaky, like late 21, 22, things were still messy. I think in 2023, it's going to be like a world-class experience again, where you finally getting what you were paying for and expecting.
Okay. Yeah, you bring up a good point. And I also think people got burnt in 2020 with, paying for things. And I think there was hesitation in 2021. Do I buy tickets for this event? Do I not? Even as things began to pick up, you got some of that still in 2022. I think in 2023, you don't even think about that anymore. Hey, this bourbon festival's coming up that I want to go to, or this concert in Kentucky, and I get into distilleries. No longer you're thinking anymore, oh, that could be COVID canceled. So
yeah. I don't think it's going to be canceled. I don't think I have to save tickets. I think I'm going and it's going to be a blast. I think we're getting back to like 2019 times.
Book your vacation and you don't worry about it. You're not even lengthening. This may get canceled. That's not even not a plan anymore. So yeah, good.
Another facet to this that I think is interesting from the perspective of participating is, prior to 2020, you could be in Kentucky. You decide you'd want to visit a few distilleries. The day of, you just go and you book your tour that day. And that went away real quick.
Yeah, that has. That's a problem. We need to do a whole show about that because that's a problem.
Yeah, it's a super problem. But here's the thing that's kind of interesting about it. So maybe it was 2021 that I was out there. I did not contemplate the necessity of having to book way in advance.
Yeah.
And that was the case. You couldn't just book it a couple days before. They were all booked out. Now, I think in some ways that sucks, but you adapt to that. And once, maybe I feel like it's that way all the time now, where you can't just wake up the day of and get a tour. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, that means that,
it is show worthy though. You bring up a great point because it is very show worthy. And again, I don't want to go too far off of this because the other thing is they did reduce the number of tours with COVID. And I don't think they bounced back to, the level. So you have to, but they're all booked now. Everything's booked. Yes. But also some of that goes to, the whole, because they're limited, the tour guides, the tour bus companies and all that, getting all the tickets. And that's a thing. And how does the industry fix that now, where I, as a person who just wants to go to Kentucky, maybe myself or my buddies or my spouse, and I just want to go and tour some distilleries, and all those tickets are being snatched up by people who are going to resell them because they're offering some sort of tour experience where they'll drive a bus or whatever. That's a problem, right? Yeah. I mean, that's a big issue.
I didn't realize that's going on. So the tour buses are buying up all the tickets and reselling.
Yeah, I know Buffalo Trace had a big crackdown, and again, they're trying to stop this, but I don't know how you could stop it if they're smart about how they do it. How does Buffalo Trace know? I guess you have to book it in your name, and then you can't change names. Because I don't know how they're doing that stuff.
Checking IDs at the door, and check in.
So I guess if they do that, maybe that's the way. I don't know, but I did hear there was an article online about Buffalo Trace cracking down on the tour companies, taking all the spots, and
they have like 200 or 300 tours. At a time, one company came in and scooped up like blocks for months at a time.
Yeah.
So Buffalo Trace is the distillery industry's answer to Pearl Jam's answer to music. Is that what we're saying here?
Maybe.
Right.
What's good about Buffalo Trace for someone who's trying to cheat the system is their tours are free. So you can, if you have the ability, if it's not unchecked, and again, I think Buffalo Trace does a good job. I'm not criticizing them. I think they do a good job of this, and they're stopping people from doing that. But if it was left unchecked, I get the tickets for free, reserve it, and then I sell them for whatever it is. And maybe I'm not even saying I'm selling the tour ticket. I'm selling you the ride, and then of course the tour is free. Whatever, however you want to word it. I think that could be a real potential for problems because they don't charge for their tours.
Not unlike BTEC.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother problem too. But what people have to do now is, because it used to be like, hey, I'm bored on a Saturday. I'm in Indiana. I could just drive to Kentucky if I wanted.
Can't do that anymore.
Walk into any distillery and have a fun time. You can't do that anymore. So you have to plan Kentucky like people plan Disney. You have to be like, this day I'm hitting Louisville.
Yep.
Next day it's Lexington.
Which
or
sucks.
It's not like it used to be. And I think as consumers, we have to wrap our heads around that, which it takes some time. But you have to actually plan this out. You're not going to just walk into things like we used to.
McNew, go west, young lady. Come to Colorado. You won't have any problem.
I would love to come to Colorado sometime. So I'm very much trying to get my husband to move to Arizona. Not going well. Maybe I can do Colorado. So
New Mexico. New Mexico's not bad.
I could do New Mexico. I'm going to get Luke on board to get me in New Mexico. That's going to work. West sounds good, no matter where I go.
Make that happen.
I've got a bit of a different take on this, but I think the industry is going to certainly keep on increasing and numbers are going to keep on going up. But I think something that might have to do with it is that there's more people that enjoy and are passionate about whiskeys and bourbons these days. During COVID, they were locked up, and then they got a lot more home bartenders, and so even from 2019, and who knows what the number is, but there's probably more brown spirit drinkers out there, and the guys and gals that enjoy our spirits a little more. So I think just based on that reason.
Yeah, Ryan, you're spot on. Like that's like in a comparison, how many people are still making sourdough? I'm gonna say none, but how many people got wise to how badass bourbon and broader whiskey is and had their eyes so much widened open because it is so, there's so much more depth to it than, I mean, beer's rad, wine's okay, but there's so much going on in whiskey and bourbon that people didn't realize. And I think that's huge. And that is definitely like the bright side of kind of McNew, what you were saying. I mean, it's kind of a bummer that it's not as easy as it used to be, but the upside, it's so cool that other people are stoked on it.
Yeah. So I love seeing, so people I went to high school with are like weird acquaintances from former jobs where I'm like, oh, you guys like bourbon now? It's so fun to see these unexpected people be into it, and it's a real hobby for them, and I love seeing that.
Did you say when you heard them say that, do you know who I am? You should.
I should start doing that. Maybe I don't do that.
One of the cool things I think that is interesting about the bourbon industry, because if you think about this, so Kentucky still dominates so much of bourbon, but you'd think that, hey, Colorado's really coming up. Boy, bourbon, Kentucky bourbon would hate that. I think in reality, it helps them. It helps Kentucky because it creates fans who are able to celebrate and drink local. But Kentucky's such a huge thing. As you become a bigger fan, you're like, well, I love going to 10th Mountain and I love going to Deer Hammer, but now I want to go to Kentucky. I got to see, where all the stuff's born, So I think Kentucky is in just such a good spot while it'll continue to grow, is even as all these distilleries take off. We're seeing other pockets across the United States making great whiskey, making great bourbon. It only actually helps Kentucky even more, I think.
It does. And Indiana too. So we just had Name Drops open like right next door to me. And then West Fork, that's been open for a while, they just opened a huge place that has a restaurant and everything. So it's helping other states too, even though we're right next door and we get ignored. Like we're more than it. But so many things are happening here around the Indianapolis area too for whiskey tourism.
Yeah. It's not like, oh shit, they're all doing better. Colorado's doing really good now. We're fucked. No, it's like, the pie is now getting bigger. We figured out a way to increase the size of the pie where those slices are even bigger. So it's good.
You finally started getting to the topics that I wanted to get into, is on the economic side of the stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it where were we at in 2019? We weren't very well categorized. Yes, the tour bookings through the website in Kentucky if you're part of the KDA, I think they use the same vendor. So now they started tracking that stuff to be able to get their tourism numbers. 2020 was a whole shit show. We know that. 2021 is opening back up. And it only got more well tracked across the board. They know exactly who's coming in for tourism. They know all the complementary businesses that are also
feeding it,
benefiting from that. Art Eatables is one of those. Anything that's bourbon lifestyle, the furniture makers, everybody local to the distilleries. There's something to say about the majesty of driving around Kentucky hills. That's why folks will always be drawn to there. For that, seeing those rick houses on the bluffs and this, that, and the other. You always have that, and you always hear the limestone shelf, this, that, and the other. But McNew, you brought up a great point. People still have to travel there. Not everybody wants to fly there because they can only bring back so much whiskey. So everybody's driving. Therefore, now people are looking at distilleries on the way down there too as well. So that opens up your Southern Illinois stuff from the travel from St. Louis. Look at Stumpy Spirits. Look at some of our friends all down in Indiana and Southern Indiana down there opening that stuff up. Then on top of that, you have what's been done at these distilleries. And Lenny, you're a perfect example of it. Look how many complementary businesses you've opened up to keep people in the seats there, not just the distillery, but the food that you added on there, the cocktail scene. I don't necessarily go and book tours anymore when I travel to Kentucky. I go to stop in to the distilleries, see some of my peers, my friends down there, find something that's distillery specific, and go get a drink at the bar, at the cocktail bar. I don't have to go on the tour anymore, unless they've had an expansion or want to do something like that. I want to see some of the new stuff going on there. More often than not, you get lucky enough to get brought around the scene. I just need to look around the corner and see inside the room to be nice to see it and go from there. Yeah, so I think you're finding a lot of that where the money's going to be spent there in the shops, just people running in, and that's all the flippers anyways. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about me who now's trying to regularly go down there about 2 or 3 times a year. And I'm not necessarily going to go to a tour.
You make a good point, Tim. So I'm not always trying to do a tour, but I'm like, hey, we haven't been to this local distillery. Their cocktail bar, their tasting bar is open from these hours. We can pop in on this day. So that's what we try to do sometimes. So I think
look what Michigan's done. As hard it is for liquor laws in Michigan, their tasting bar setup for the distilleries has been able to expand those distilleries' reach all across the state. That's unique to Michigan. Indiana's got a whole other thing, but I think what it comes down to it is distilleries are now destinations. Look at Log Still and their amphitheater. I think if you go down the picture that really hit home of the economy, the economics in the bourbon industry, or just the whiskey industry in general, was that big shot picture from was it Bourbon and Beyond? Mm-hmm. The concert where they had 2 main stages. And
No.
one main stage finishes, you just turn around and you look at the other main act on the next stage. You just turn around, you look at wow, that was something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, there you go. There's just a little bit about what's going on in the world of bourbon and what we think is going to be coming forward here in 2023. We'll wrap this one up, as we always do, by talking about where people can find us. Tim, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me at your local distilleries cocktail bars when I'm traveling around, as well as on Instagram at SwyGuy2112.
All right. Lenny.
You can find me and the rest of Deerhammer on social media at Deerhammer. You can also check us out at Deerhammer Tasting Room for our where you can come and drink cocktails instead of our tour. You can come hit us up online, deerhammer.com. You can order our bottles shipped to your door, and you should come visit us in beautiful Buena Vista, Colorado.
All right, Ryan.
Across all socials at 10th MTN Whiskey, and our website is 10thwhiskey.com. That's 10th, whiskey with an E.
McNew.
I'm on Instagram at McNew ABV.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. The important website, though, is abvnetwork.com. Check it out. Everything that we do is out there. We put all of those previous shows. We got our shop, blog, so much more, abvnetwork.com, and also abvbarrelshop.com. Sign up for our email distribution. You'll know exactly what we have in the store. And if you're ever in St. Louis, come by and see us, ABV Barrel Shop. All right, McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. For audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Cheers,
Bye.
Folks.
See you guys.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Another friend of ours is the Goldstein family at Goldstone Mill. The Goldsteins offer a variety of heritage and heirloom grains to make the finest whiskeys in the world. Plus, they are more than just a grain company. They are truly consultants to make sure the grains they are providing to you or your business meet your highest expectations. Additionally, they work with mills around the country, ensuring shipping is as low as possible for their customers. If you're a distillery, brewery, or even doing this at home, Goldstone can assist you. Check them out at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or check in via email at hello@goldstonemill.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with a national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.